What is going on, chat? How are you all doing tonight? Welcome, everyone, to the MJ verse, not the metaverse, the MJ verse. Those of you that don't know, thank you, Eric, for calling it out. This is a rebrand for me as I'm getting involved with more play to earn crypto games, beyond just Zed Run, and more than just racing. I'm involved in other projects as well. It was important to kind of rebrand in order to encompass all of those different games. So I am now, formerly was MJ Gaming, am now MJ, or sorry, was MJ Stables, MJ Racing, and now MJ Gaming. My website is mjinformatics.com. I'm having some trouble with chat tonight. Definitely taking. Oh, I've got feedback. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Give me 1 sec, and I will close that out. There we go. Is that feedback fixed? How's that sounding? I am completely blind to chat. Let me see if I can pop this out somehow. We are having some issues with that loading in. So let me try and pull this up on my phone real quick. We'll do that. Stridex, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. While I pull this up, a few things I want to talk about tonight. Some things I'm really, really excited about. So first, we're going to start with some updates just about Riot Racers in general. And then we're going to talk about some of my new acquisitions. We're looking at a bunch of them right now. We'll talk about what's next. And then hopefully come up with some ways for all of you to race your horses better. So we can go ahead and take a look at that. There we go. I've got the stream manager up. Chat. Okay, let's do this. Go ahead and let me know, again, if you could let me know in chat if there is any feedback. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Crush888, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. I'm still not seeing. Okay, there we go. Fixed. Perfect. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. All right. So this is right now what I'm calling my squad. J. Cole is 74. Thank you so much for the follow. These are my top drivers by element that I currently have within my garage in my Riot Racers team. Names I'm not going to be revealing yet. I have names for some of them picked out. I don't want to give them away. I don't want anyone sniping my names. But you can see I've spent in total about an ETH. I got this 403 water from the drop, and the rest were purchased on secondary by myself. We have a 396 Earth for 0.185, which now looking at the market today was I feel like was a steal. And same with this, a 380 Fire for 0.25, and then kind of my big splurge was this 398, and we're going to talk about this one specifically later on in the stream, for 0.6. So yes, I love my drivers. I'm really happy with my team. I still have a good amount of extra drivers, so if people are looking to possibly purchase, I may relist some soon. Eric says names left to right are Ski Mask, Beards, Stare, and Mask. How did you figure that out? How did you know those are going to be my driver names? Speaking of drivers, it was announced in Discord today, in the Riot Racers Discord, that on Wednesday, the 15th of December, for those of you that aren't watching this live, 15th of December 2021, the Mecha drivers will be revealed. So pretty excited about that. Can't wait for those to come out and to see what that looks like. All right. Wind, Water, and Heart. Papusa Joe says, I like it, I like it, I like it. All right. So what's, we can go through these kind of individually here. So yeah, here's Mr. 396. Looking at its properties, gold chain, Genesis, normal. Like nothing too special from the rarity. Balaclava. Just got tank, blue, male 2, Hawaiian shirt, 1%, Kowloon Triad tattoo, which I think is pretty cool. I like the ones with the tattoos. I really like the tattoo work that George did. on these drivers. I think it's awesome. And then obviously Earth, you can see the tattoos coming through here. And again, I paid 0.185 for this. Second one is my Wind 398 driver. Checking out these kind of. Oh, we didn't even look at the levels. What am I doing? 82 braking, which is awesome. Endurance 73. I think you're going to notice a trend with my drivers that I don't have a lot of strong endurance drivers that could come to bite me, but that's all right. Not the worst endurance, 73. Handling 76, overall rating of 396, speed of 85, which I love. Man is fast, and vision of 80, which I think is pretty solid. Captain Planet, he's our hero. That's hilarious. I love that. So the next, yeah, we've got the Wind, Genesis, Dreaming Expression, which I think is kind of cool. Got like the eyes closed. What is he? I'd like to think he's deep in thought. Then he's got the face mask on, which I like. I think that's pretty cool. I like the skull face mask. I think that's awesome. Blade cut blonde 2%, tank black at 28%. For the Anywhere male 3, 17%, 0.68 for the police uniform, which I think is pretty cool. And then Wind, but the levels. Let's look at these levels. Pretty flat, but also pretty high. Definitely above average. So 78 braking, 79 endurance, 79 handling, 83 speed, and 79 vision. Like, he's pretty much almost 80s across the board. Very, very solid. Very, very happy with that purchase. And let's see what else. Oh, here's this one I feel was just absolute steal. A Fire for 0.25. This is my favorite driver. It's currently my avatar on Twitter, but I like the tattoos. I like the sideburns. The almost like mutton chop kind of look. I think that's awesome. But yeah, normal sideburns, blade cut blonde, tank, carbon vest, red, mecha tattoo, which is kind of cool. And Fire, then looking at his levels, 79 braking, 72 endurance, 75 handling, 84 speed, and 80 vision. So man can see pretty well. So yeah, these are my 3 new purchases. Things that are coming up in Riot. So let's talk about the roadmap a little bit. We are currently in early December. The initial beta game release is set for mid-December, Apollo drop mid-late December. We haven't heard too much about the Apollo drop, so maybe that would be moved back a little bit. I don't know. That's just speculation at this point. Busa Joe says wants to trade Mecha for a better driver. However, I believe Premium Carrot said in Discord today, excuse me, that just talking that there will be an announcement for racing later this week. Not totally sure what that is, what that looks like, if that's a yay, nay, or otherwise. But that is coming later this week. And then confirmed that the beta will be free racing. And their approximate timeline, subject to change, would be about 4 weeks after the fact. So between now and the beta, what am I doing? Both as a content creator and kind of consumer of the ecosystem within Riot. So first thing that I'm going to do, and this is kind of where I'd want to bring up my good buddy Eric Wong. If you just bear with us for 1 second, I'll get him hooked up in here. Eric says I'm first in get in line. Let's see if we can get Eric to initialize up in the MJ verse. We'll give this 1 second. Let's see here. Looks like the feed is coming through. And hold on. Having some issues. There we go. Come on, coming in. There he is. We are initialized. Eric, are you there?
I am here, my friend.
Awesome.
Can you see me?
Yes, you are here. Looks like we can hear you too. What is
Okay.
going on? So I wanted to have you on tonight to talk a little bit. First, we're going to talk about kind of my website. It's going to segue into talking about the market a little bit. Let's start with the market, because you and I have both been pretty active, at least at looking at it lately.
Yeah.
Um, and I was kind of flipping through today. I guess I'm looking for drivers that are high 300s, low 400 and above. Um, is there a certain type of driver you're looking for? Are you looking for rarity? Are you looking for skills? What's your current, or are you kind of paused, pumping the brakes a little bit?
So I'm in a little bit of a hole right now, but in a holding mode because I want to see how the market basically adjusts itself. But I am looking for drivers, but I'm not looking for the two things that you talk about. I'm not looking for the rarity, nor am I looking for the stats. Well, kind of the stats. I'm looking for specialists, and
Okay.
this is kind of we were talking about. I think the um, I think the drivers at the 370 to the 390 range, maybe even 360 something range, those are very very undervalued, and so we see them selling at floor prices, which is criminal because. And I think you talk a little bit about Apollo, and I kind of want to build on that point a bit because when the Apollo cars comes into the system, you have more players coming in.
Hmm.
It's going to be difficult to get a driver. I mean, there are equal numbers of cars to driver, and you flash your squad just now. You got four drivers on your squad, and you think about it. Everyone who has a car would want at least four drivers to have the four elements. I want eight drivers on my squad because not just the four elements. I need a set. I need two sets of four, one built for speed and one built for handling to be on squad. So I mean, you're playing a standard player. You're playing a standard four man squad. I want to play a 8-man squad.
Sorry, say that again. I was trying to mess with some settings here. You want four for what and four for? I have a 4-man squad. You want an 8-man squad? What?
I want an
Eight
8-man
person
squad.
squad.
Oh,
What is
eight
that?
person.
Yeah. What? Break that down again. Four for what and four for what? Sounds like two groups of four.
Two groups of four. So what happens is that you've got a squad of four that has got like obscene stats, and that is a good squad. I'm not saying that you got a bad squad there, but I want to build two squads. I want a squad that's built for speed and pure speed. So if I've got tracks that basically favor speed, that's the squad I want to put in, and I want to build a squad that has got handling. So handling and braking, and this is for the more tricky circuits and stuff like that. And this is a squad that I will use when I have got tracks that's got lots of turns and lots of twists and it's got a higher demand for handling. So that's kind of where I'm thinking of right now. I may change that up a little bit to build one with low visibility or low vision and one with high vision, depending on how big weather and visibility plays a part in gameplay. So I may have anything between two squads to three squads to kind of like mix around with, and with those I would actually have more rotation in my play. The other thing why I'm doing this versus trying to go with just four men or four person is because there will be fatigue. And coming from a game that we've played, fatigue is going to be huge. And I don't want to be stuck with a car with no drivers that can drive in certain conditions.
So speed, handling, vision. Those are the three things you're considering right now, and then on
In
some
terms of
level, endurance.
endurance, I am downplaying that for now
Okay.
because if I have got the rotation, I may not need endurance. So endurance, I'm trying to figure whether is endurance affecting the number of races that you can enter, or is it affecting or is there such thing as a longer race versus a shorter race? I mean, if I'm going for Le Mans, then I probably need someone with higher endurance. But if I'm going for a shorter sprint or maybe even a drag race, a type of race, then maybe endurance is actually not that important. So that one is the verdict still yet to be out.
Yeah, and a lot of this is, and I think it's like it good. I think it's really smart. Is just kind of speculation on what are the tracks going to be like, and I think like kind of to that point, we're seeing right now. So we saw the driver reveal. we saw prices kind of the floor fall out on some. Some the floor actually went up. Now I think we're starting to see a divide of like the floor and not the floor. But then once racing actually comes out, and I think we're starting to level off, we're going to see another big spike once that initial, oh my gosh, endurance is for longer tracks, and I just can't compete at longer tracks because I don't have the endurance to do so, kind of a thing. Again, all speculation, all hypothetical, but I really think we're going to see a bunch of mini kind of booms and busts within the driver market in these next coming months, kind of for that reason. So I want to talk about, like, again, you're looking at certain stats. I'm looking for kind of just powerhouse, like all around. And so there are a few ways that we can kind of do this. One, and this is newer, within like the past day or so, and that's this overall rating right here, is now on OpenSea, and I believe it is for all of the racers. So you could just plug in, if you wanted, 390, and start looking from there. And look at the floor on this, 0.35. That skyrocketed. Like, you put some NOS in that car and you flip the switch and you're off. Like, that market just absolutely blew up. Especially when we look at the floor itself, is currently, I think it's 0.0398.
Yeah.
And so that's a 369. So we have 369 at 0.039, and then when you get to 390, it goes to 0.35. Like, that gap in the market is crazy.
It is. It is. And by the way, that 0.35 for the 399 driver, oh, that one is an absolute steal, man. If anyone's
Really?
tuning in, that one's an absolute steal. So if you put it into the that premium carrot build, I think he's probably one of the top 100 or maybe top 150 drivers.
Nice. So speaking of tools, I'm glad you mentioned that. Premium Carrots, the VP of Data Science for Riot Racers, built these amazing Tableau dashboards. I spoke with him about this. I got his permission to do so. And I just want to kind of do a quick plug for my own site here. Let's see if that's not even going to go through. Let me see if I can just type this in. I'm on my phone chat right now. mjinformatics.com. It's up there. Perfect. Go here. This will load up. This is for Zet. This is the current home screen. It's going to change. There you go. It's refreshing right now. You don't have to wait for that to load. Simply mouse over Riot Racers. And Premium Carrots built out 4 tools, all of which are now embedded on my website. You can access right there. It's the exact same version of what he built out. I will continue to add his tools onto my site for everyone to utilize. The first one that we have here, and I just want to kind of take this next segment to go through tool by tool, just kind of an overview of what they are, what they do. So this one's kind of cool because this is like the rating. Driver skill traits by token ID. So here's your total rating. So the best driver in the game, the 433, is a water. Then there's a 430, 429, 426, and it just continues to go down from there. Then you have the fastest speed, fastest braking, handling, endurance, and vision. And you can filter up top by type, including there's some missing ones. I guess when the data was taken down, it didn't fully populate. But just kind of a quick way, and like, let's say I want to, okay, let's check out 290. You can click, and then all of the stats going across, you'll see all for 290 and how it performs. 2990, sorry, not just 290, 2990. That's the driver ID. Simply click it again, and you'll revert back to everything. The next tool is the driver stat lookup. And this is, in a way, kind of similar, but you look up a single ID. So we'll do 2990 again. You hit enter, check the box, and it will show you the total rating, the speed. You can kind of isolate it. It's just a different view of what we're looking at. To me, this is a lot less overwhelming to look at when I want to look at a specific driver, when I'm not doing those broad comparisons. That's kind of how I see the difference of these two things being used. I don't know what your thoughts are between the two, but I view this as like, hey, I just want to look at drivers in isolation versus let's just see, hey, are there any drivers with how many have a 99 braking kind of a thing. The third one is a driver skill trait comparison. And I'll show this one, but we're going to circle back to this one because when we talk about our driver analysis and strategy, this is the big thing that we're going to talk about and use. And I think this is really this is the game changer for me. This is my favorite of all of the reports that Premium Carrots has built. But we'll circle back to this one in a minute. Then the last one is the histogram. And I apologize, this one's a little off center. So I'm going to have to just zoom out a little bit so you can get it all in. But this one I like too. This is probably my second favorite because you can see, and you can mouse over here. You can't necessarily read it on stream, but, I'm looking at overall total rating. Excuse me. And so right now, this is saying that 19% of drivers are in this bucket. That's 2,100 drivers, and they have a minimum rating of 369. So this is about like the halfway point is 369. Then here's 376. So you're getting what? That's 19, 25, 34, 43, 43-ish% of drivers are 369, about 370 or lower. So if you want to be in about the top half, you need to be about above 370. And then if you want to look here, well, if we look at, here's 396, that's 5%, and we go higher, that's what, 7, maybe 8, 9% of drivers are 396 or higher. So it allows you to very quickly kind of see where the minority of things are. So if you want a truly elite racing team, I think this is really great to kind of figure that out. And you can do it for each one of the stats, which is pretty cool. Now, kind of going back to the market, and we talked about those discrepancies between, the floor is really low, but then, certain qualities of drivers, that price range really picks up, and it can be a little hard to find consider a driver. So I messaged you the other night. We were talking. I was looking for a wind driver. And let me see if I can pull this up quick from our chat. Those old token IDs, what were they? Sorry, the driver IDs. There we go. I got it.
What is it?
Yeah.
All of them?
Yeah, 5883 was one. 7283 looks like was another. So this is pretty cool. As you plug this in, and I didn't really talk about this before, but you can plug in multiple drivers and you can do a direct comparison, which is really nice. 5653 was the third. So I was looking at 4 drivers to buy. They were all wind. 10448. Very prices.
Usually while you pull it out. So what happens was that MJ and I were talking, and he showed me this histogram, this trade comparison of the 4 drivers, and he said, and I asked him, so where am I looking at? He said, I'm evaluating the driver. I'm just trying to figure out, which one should I go with, and which one should I buy. I look at the 4 drivers, and he looked at the 4 drivers and said, you know what? Don't show me your ranking first. I'm going to rank them, and once I'm done, the 2 of us compare ranking. Interestingly enough, the top 2 drivers were the same. I mean, we picked the same top 2 drivers with a little bit of variance. I mean, my number 1 was his number 2, and his number 1 was my number 2. But the funny thing was the last driver that we picked is the same. And I think I'm not going to review too much. I'm going to let MJ basically share the example, but the logic and the logic and the thought process that goes into picking the driver is just interesting. I think it just defies the common logic that we have, that higher stats is always best and things like that. So so there is a little bit, I think, of more complexity in this, and I think it's worth talking about. All right, back to you, MJ.
Yeah. So this is I mean, you can see right here. So here's the total rating. They're pretty close. And then so I'm using this to kind of eyeball look through, and it's like, okay, well, 10448, man, is just killing it overall in endurance. The rest are kind of similar. However, 5883 kills it in speed. 7283 kills it in handling. They're all kind of the same on braking. Yeah, there are two that are better, and then there are two that are better at vision. And so I'm sitting here and I'm going back and forth. I'm like, okay, which one do I pick? Do I like this because it's faster? Do I like this because this is so much further out? How how do I decide? And the prices were different. Some like three out of the four were fairly close in price range. One of them was a lot cheaper. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I came up with a system, and this is what I think can be kind of a really big aid in trying to figure out where to find value in the market is. So go over to Excel. This is super easy to make. Anyone can do this. It's not super complex at all. But I created this Riot Racers kind of sheet. So you have your driver ID, your overall rating, and then all of the different stats. So endurance, speed, handling, braking, vision, and then came up with something called a total. And so what that total is basically it's just a sum of column C through G. So just the five stats. And the way you get a number is out of your ranking. So if you're a 1, you are the best of the 4, however many are in here, in that group. If you get a 2, you're second best, 3, third, and fourth, you're last. And so whichever one has the lowest score is, in theory, the best overall driver. If you're looking at max stats, you're not, isolating 1, 2, 3. So when you sum these up, unfortunately for me, all of these numbers were pretty close. I had 12s and 13s, but then I flipped back to this and I said, well, okay, if I were to eliminate one thing that, really isn't as important to me, what would that be and why? And to me, that was endurance. And here's why. One, because we don't know what it is, and it just seems like the least appealing of them all. But the second thing is that this red line here, that's 75. That's about, the average mark of where these drivers are performing. And it's at 75 for all of them. So it's a good little benchmark. All of these were above 75. And so I said, you know what? Endurance is the one I don't care about much. Also, they're all above, so it's not like one is, really going to be lagging behind the others. Let's knock out endurance. And when you knock out endurance, something funny happens. And of course, it doesn't it didn't do the calculation. Let me just drop this in quick. D2, G2. The numbers changed significantly, and one clearly stands out, 5883. And then if we look at this in isolation, just kind of looking across, had the top speed, second best handling, second best braking, third best vision. So I'm like, I've got a very good average going across. When you take endurance out of the picture, even though it was really bad, it was still way above the average. This driver just dominated the group that I was looking at. So now I'll do the big kind of reveal and take this out. And the two things I want to talk about now, one is the cost. So 5653 was 0.3. The driver that I picked was 0.6. 7283 was 0.5 and 0.6. So again, these three pretty similarly priced. This one was one of the worst ratings, 10448. But if we look at the ratings overall here, the actual combined ratings of them, 5883 is the third lowest of the four. So 404, 400, and 398. So I see a lot of talk in Discord of people looking, say, hey, I want a 400 plus driver. I need a 400 plus driver. Well, you could. And, it could be the right move for you to move up, for you to be successful. But I highly encourage you. And like Eric was saying earlier, there's some 370s, 380s that are very undervalued. This, I think, could be a great system in order to figure that out. So, Eric, I want to talk a little bit about more of your thoughts, how it came up with your rankings. But yeah, we had these kind of ranked the same, except for our first two. And why was my number 2 your number 1, I guess?
Yeah. So before I go there, I like to say that I think you got a very good purchase here. If we add the cost in, if we put the cost column in, then I would have gone with number two because the cost differentiation is just too big. Um, my number two was your number one,
Mhm.
and vice versa. So we had the one and two swap over because I think we took the same philosophy of eliminating the endurance, but I value braking and handling a lot more over speed. So MJ is really that, that speed monster. He values speed, and for me, I there is a part of the game about crashing. So if you got speed and you basically have low handling and lower braking, you risk actually crashing out the race. So for me, the driver 7283 it's presents a better value proposition because I think from a safe from having the ability to finish the race, this guy would actually do it. As well as I think he's got a little bit more utility across different type of races, and I can actually have a driver that's actually more usable.
And if you notice, yeah, so 7283, your number one driver, was the number one rating for both handling and braking. And if that's something that's valuable to you, again, this type of chart, this type of analysis allows you to very clearly see that when you're evaluating a field of drivers. Um,
Yep.
so again, another reason why I like it, it's simpler. It can eliminate some of that noise from your driver selection process. Um,
So, MJ, question for you.
mhm,
This is where it gets. I think we're kind of like leading into this point here. The last ranking driver, 10448.
mhm.
So she's got phenomenal vision. I mean, she's probably clairvoyant in that space. But why? With penalized endurance, she's got amazing endurance at 88. But even taking out endurance, she's still one of the top ranking for vision. Why? Why wouldn't we pick her? I mean, why did you rank her the last? I mean, why isn't vision important for you?
Um, I don't know because I guess it's harder for me to quantify and understand the value of vision, and then also because looking at these here, it's like okay, you're third best and you're third best. Like I've got two firsts here. I've got a first, a second, second here. I've got a one, a three, three, and a four. Like you're in the bottom half 3 out of 4 times with endurance removed. So I was like, that just it wasn't doing it for me.
Okay. So she's ranked number four for me really because I penalized her on the braking and the handling like yourself and as well as speed.
Yeah.
So for me those three elements are just bad for her. But the thing about vision, and this is how I've interpreted vision. Vision is the well, I don't think okay, there are two camps of thoughts here. One is that you can predict things. I don't think that's the way that we would actually look at vision in a racing game. It's probably more to do with the visibility. So in a wet weather or in a foggy type of weather condition, you probably will see less, or you have a shorter range in terms of field of vision. So in that sense, I mean, on a bad condition, this driver could actually do well, but in clear sunny weather, this driver's vision, will probably not be an advantage. So if I'm going to be someone who's shrewd with choosing and picking which race I want to go into, and if I sacrifice on endurance, I sacrifice on vision, I focus on braking, handling, and probably speed. So remember, I talk about building a team for speed and a team for handling. So if I then go down on rating for endurance and vision, I have sufficient rotation to play with. So endurance is not such a big deal for me, and I avoid tracks that has got bad weather condition. I probably would do very well in racing.
Interesting. Very interesting. Here's a thought. I'm pulling this up. So this is a screenshot from Discord. And I think that's each one of these stats is going to be important and is going to be um used in some way. Could vision have something to do with your race posture? Just looking at kind of the options that we have here. We've got weather, your track, which I think So I think that that's going to play into the elements. We talked about wet track, water drivers. I don't know what those are, but I think that could play into the elements. But I wonder if race posture has anything like how aggressive of a driver or race could you have if you can't see very well? You know, see very well. If you don't have the vision, the awareness. I guess I almost view vision as awareness.
So I see it differently. I mean, I look at the um so I look at the stats as interacting with your race strategy here. So your race posture can be aggressive. So basically, your speed will get amplified by this race posture.
Mm-hmm.
But if I then look at the stats like handling as well as braking, that basically is like a dampener. And if I'm aggressive, do I have the handling to handle the aggressiveness? So vision probably would be an overlay stat that basically look at the is the weather condition going to impact this performance greatly, or is a degree of impact to the race performance. So if I have a higher level of vision, the visibility is not going to impact that much, so it's not going to push down the overall performance that much. If I have a very low level vision, for example, if I'm a 65 on vision, then probably that weather condition is going to have has a more greater impact on my overall race performance. So each of the stats will kind of interact differently with the different elements of the weather
And we
or
know,
track.
yeah, and we know that these things could change over time. We could get like sleet, hail, thunderstorm, hurricane, tornado. I don't know. But I think that what once we start to kind of get through that discovery and figure things out, that I think the team's going to start throwing some curveballs at us, which I hope they do, and I think they've kind of hinted at that, which is pretty exciting. So like what might be great vision one day in one condition may not play out the same way the next. And I think that's also important to remember too, that if you're looking to utilize or get rid of a driver some way, it could have value in the future.
Yeah.
Um, Stridex in chat says, I think vision would be about knowing when to pass. Could be. Could
Yeah.
be. Yeah. And again, pass, but pass with in those weather conditions. How well can I pass in rain, in a storm, if it's foggy? Kind of
Yep.
to your point, like kind of putting them both together. So I'd love to hear from chat. What kind of questions do you have? What are your thoughts on some of these stats? How are they going to be used? How are they going to be utilized? Um, we've got, it looks like just over 30 of you in here. Please ask away if you have anything at all. Buck 50 says, or Buck 50 says, not all drivers have their metadata refreshed since that overall data was added. Um, so if that is still the case, then kind of the filters that I was using were about 72 and going across the board 72, just to again try and find something super cheap, but um, that would also be like performing pretty well. You'll get to those higher numbers pretty quick. Um, what is your all right? You have to. You want to do a little Riot Racers speed round? We'll see if we can get some questions in chat. I got some questions for you, Eric.
Absolutely.
Okay. Favorite element?
Hmm. For me, would be water.
Okay.
Um,
Why?
because if I were to be looking at if I would be, let's just say that if the four elements, the races that correspond with the four elements will be equal, I think water is going to be more interesting because of it probably will correspond with wet weather, and as well as I think if we then have say a lot of the folks will be focusing on bringing in strong races like a fire or a wind or something, and those may not do so well in wet weather. And I think with the water, drivers will probably would be more versatile and be able to do well in other conditions as compared to say a fire or wind. Earth is gonna be I think average throughout. So I think it's gonna be more stats reliant. But so if I were to play out a certain element, it's probably water for me.
Okay. Favorite model. So male, female, mecha.
Favorite model, that's got to be the Fam 2, man.
Yeah. I still can't figure out which one is the female 2, female 1, or male 1, male 2, male 3. I try and go through and figure them out. When I do, I get lost. All I know is one of my favorite drivers, and maybe I'll switch my avatar to this. One of my favorite drivers is my female. I just think she looks badass. Right here. She's got the tattoos. She's got. I love that. That like eyeglass, sunglasses she's got on. Diamond necklace. Cyber glasses. That's what they're called. Okay, so this is female 1. It's female 1. Done. I like this female 1.
So female 1 is the one that's modeled after Angelina Jolie, and female 2 is the Asian female look.
Gotcha. Yeah. I did enjoy Angelina Jolie.
That's the reason.
That's probably the reason. This is all making sense now.
And I'm Asian, so
there we go. So next question. Favorite kind of like outfit or look for your driver? Do you like the fusion suits? Do you like this like the carbon fiber? Do you like the suits, the police officer, the astronaut? Do you have a favorite? What is it?
It's got to be the bikini.
The bikini. I don't know if I've seen the bikini. I have.
Oh,
I have.
You have seen bikini.
Yeah.
It's got to be the bikini, man. I mean, who wears a bikini to a race? But
that's awesome.
It's a bikini. Full stop. Statement. And I think everyone will know why.
Okay. Do you have a favorite facial expression for your driver?
I like happy. That's the most. I think that's the most natural looking like facial expression. I know there are a couple of like in this one the kiss and stuff like that. I think that looks a little bit more in the moment, but I think happy is the one that's most neutral for me.
Nice. I like the tongue sticking out one because I just picture my driver just like always like that, and then just like passing someone and just turning their head and their tongue is just.
Yeah. I can see that. That is so MJ, man.
I want to circle back to chat. We got some comments before we go back to our speed round. Papusa Joe says more endurance equals less pit stops? Question mark. Possibly.
Yeah.
A Kissinger 24 says. A Kissinger 24 says, do you think we will know the track conditions before selecting a driver? Yes, we will. And so that's shown here. So the steps kind of in getting into a race are, finding the race. So here we've got Andretti Circuit, United States, rookie rally, entry fee, prize pool. Here we can see the race conditions. Then we select our driver. Then we select our car. Then we select this information down here. So absolutely. OG Evergreen says, look at 10670.
1067. Let me pull it out as well.
Whoa, that is a bikini with the tattoos and the tongue out, and I kind of like the blue hair.
And it's not a Fam 2, it's Fam 1.
Of course, that's why I like it. Looking at the properties: playful eyebrow piercing, silver necklace, retro blue, Greek goddess, high stakes. The Greek goddess one I think is kind of cool looking. I think it's kind of badass. Oh yeah, okay, owned by Evergreen. That's a nice driver, man. That is a nice driver. 370. Let's look at the levels. 85 vision. Whoo! X-ray vision. 76 speed, 66 handling, 71 endurance, and 72 braking. Look at that speed and vision. Got lasers coming out of those eyes. Love it, love it. Thank you for sharing that driver, man. I appreciate that. FPS Leo says tattoos were a nice touch. I mean, just look at the. This is sick. Like these tattoos. These look so cool. Does it say like poker is life? Like look at the detail on this. In the
Yes.
end, I can't even read that, but yeah, poker is. Oh yeah, there's life. Like that's sick. That's awesome. Yeah,
So
George killed that. Go ahead.
MJ, you need to look at 5037.
Sure. Number 5037. Oh, okay. Is that the bikini you're talking about? And
That
this
is the
is
bikini.
and this is female too. I like female too.
There you go.
Yeah.
There
Do
you
you
go.
own this one? Oh, this is owned by Mexican Andy. I do not think that is your OpenSea name.
No, but it's
Determined.
fine. I don't have to buy it. I just enjoy looking at it.
I like the determined expression. I think that's pretty cool. Like very like I'm here for business. I'm gonna crush you in this race. Very very cool.
And look at me, I'm in a striped bikini.
Check out the ratings. 80 speed, 74 handling, 73 endurance. Wow.
So she could do well. I mean,
Yeah.
she's got the speed, she's got the handling, endurance, and maybe not so good at braking, but the visions, meh.
And this is kind of a good point. This is a 355 driver with 80 speed.
Exactly.
Like this exactly proves the point you were making earlier. Like to a T.
Yeah.
So yes, do not sleep on that. Maybe find a stat you like on OpenSea. Crank up that number. Go above, maybe do like 77 as like the floor on that. Put a few up that you like. See what's out there. I mean, do you wanna walk through? Do you have time to walk through a few? Just like you like. Let's do a combo one for both of us. Okay, I like speed.
Yep.
So let's do I'll do 72 speed, and then you like was it handling or braking was your top one?
I like handling.
Okay.
So for my top would be handling, braking, followed by speed.
Okay. Well, let's do all three.
Yeah.
Handling.
Yeah, let's do all three.
All right. So I'm plugging all of these in at 72 minimum. The floor on this is 0.04.
It's cheap.
366, 364, 370. You want to plug let's plug some of these into the tool. Let's see how they rate out. 366, 371. Let's do this 371 for 0.06. Let's do all right, so let's do 6995. So clear list. So like this is I think a perfect example of how you can find some really nice deals on the market. 6995 because we were looking at high value ones earlier. Those are like 0.3.
Yep. And that's other one.
699 where one oh wait, nope, that's the wrong tab. There we go. 3189. I'm losing all of my tabs here. Too many. What I say was it 3189. All right, 3189. You want to add one or two more?
No, I'm good. Let's look at this 4.
At
Let's look at
the 2 or the 4?
let's look at the 2.
Okay.
I mean, the ones that you picked.
Okay,
Because
okay.
I'm seeing a bit of screen lag, so I'm not seeing your screen right
Gotcha. Okay. So, all right. So we've got an earth and a water. So that could play into the selection a little bit, but let's ignore that for the sake of this example. So 3189 is a 371 versus a 366. Better endurance on the lower level. Better speed. 81. Handling is better in the earth. Braking's pretty similar, 73, 74. Is that going to be a deal breaker for you if they're one or two off?
No, there's not.
And
Because if you look at, and let's talk a little bit about why is it not a deal breaker if it's one or two off. Because if you look at the overall impact to the race outcome, drivers are just 20%. So what we're doing here is really talking about just 20% of that outcome. So if it's going to be a 1 point or 2 point off, no, I'm not worried about that. It's it's we're trying to get a little bit more advantage and a little bit more edge over the other player, and this is and so I mean, if you're looking like, in this case, the speed is a huge difference, as well as the handling. So this is where I want to kind of like decide whether do I want to go for speed or do I want to go for handling in that case. Mhm.
in so I'm looking at these, and I might go the opposite of what I usually do, because I see better vision, braking, handling.
Yes.
Endurance is very similar, one off. The only difference is speed here. So to me, the Earth driver is a much stronger driver at 3189. Um,
Exactly.
and that is point zero 0.06 point, so it's point zero 0.02 difference between those two.
I would go for the Earth driver too. Really, because if I look at the application of the water driver, and chances are, if it's a water driver, and now assumptions again that I will be using this driver in a wet race,
Mm-hmm.
uh, although the speed is way up there in 80, but I'm not going to be able to get that vision and as well as the handling. So handling is still okay. I mean, 75 is good, but
Yeah,
the problem with that is the vision aspect. So with a wet race, chances are the visibility would be low. So I do need the vision, and in this case, that Earth driver, despite the lower speed, the handling and the vision and the braking is just in the right sweet spot. So for me, it's going to be the Earth driver.
I like it. I like it. I think that was a really good analysis. Yeah, like you're just going to be sliding all over the place with this speed for this water.
Yeah, and you probably have a lot of do not finish that.
um, so we got a 364. Here's another 370 for point oh 0.05. You want to throw another kind of
Sure.
wrench into the mix? And a
Let's do it.
370. Wow. Okay. Oh, that's point 0.6. So I mean, we're getting up there a little bit, but let's put this 370 in. So 1427.
1427.
Okay, strongest endurance, pretty much on par with the other Earth. Worse handling, pretty much on par with braking, and slightly less vision. I like 3189 the best still.
Yep.
And if we look
How
at
much is 3189 again? It's
3189 is
0.06 or
point oh
something.
0.06.
It's cheap.
And this is point oh 0.05. So again, like what we feel at least is significantly better drivers given the what we know about the current ecosystem, which is all speculation. But just looking at like a stat for stat breakdown, I mean, the
Yeah.
value of that is for 0.002. I mean, we're not talking zero point 0.1 differences. I think that's a really good value.
Yeah.
Um, Here's a 380 for 0.075. Whoa, this guy looks badass. 368, 362, 380, 385. Let's see if we can go a little higher. Maybe closer to that zero point 0.1 price range. There's a 386. The other filter that I use, and maybe this will be a kind of a clearer, but you can use the type filter as well. Looking at, hey, I only want to look at Earth. I only want to look at water. Let's just check out water, for example.
Mm.
And this was really helpful for me again in trying to like assemble the squad, and just eliminate as much noise as possible from the selection process. Um, 388 for 0.15.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's standing out to me right here for sure. I mean, yeah, that's kind of pricey, but
It
I'm not
is.
seeing anything else come close to that.
What is the number? What's the driver number again?
1668. Let's plug them plug them in.
Oh, I like the pink mohawk.
Yeah, that's pretty badass for sure. All right, so 388. I just want to see if there's anything that's close to that. 389, 7874. So 16. All right, so clear 8. Let's do kind of a more middle tier, something that's a little closer to the 390s. So 1668,
Okay.
7848,
7848.
um
Pricey.
and 6913.
6913. Are you plugging this in?
Yeah. And then we're gonna add one more. We're gonna throw a big wrench in this. A 397 at 0.22.
Oh,
And that
that's
number
expensive.
is 4639.
4639.
Yep. All right. So
4639.
all
Okay.
waters. Uh-oh. I'm
Okay.
well,
While
maybe
you
not.
while you do that, let me see if I can find a bargain
Yeah,
that will beat that price. I mean that will beat that the performance.
go for it.
Just by my standards.
Yeah, go for it. I'm gonna talk through this because this is kind of similar to the issue, not the issue, but the what I dealt with the other night of we've got some like, okay, these are all above, some are better than other, but like it's really hard for me to discern where that value is. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug these values in quick. 1668 into my sheet. We're gonna create a whole new sheet. Right down here. 1668 and just kind of go through like this isn't terribly time consuming. 4639, and
Mm-hmm.
it's nice because it just matches up with what's on the sheet. 7848. All right, so let's do the overall rating last. So we've got 1 2.
What's your average price? What's your average price on that
It's
on the
like
list of
0.15, 0.16, I think.
0.15, 0.16?
And speed.
Okay, let me get it down to 0.15, 0.16. Do you have 9358 on that list?
No. 9358, no.
Yep, get 9358 on it.
Okay.
This guy is gonna change. This guy is gonna change the whole dynamics of things.
Okay. And I'm gonna plug him into this as well.
And
Vision.
um, and just while you're plugging in, 9358 is currently listed at 0.12, and that's the cheap for 388 rating driver.
Is it water?
No, it's an Earth.
Ooh,
Do you
okay.
want to just do?
Yeah, if you just do water for this one.
Okay, sorry. Let
No
me
worries,
just
no
do
worries.
water.
I need a minute anyways to finish plugging through this. 2, 3, 4. Boom. Oh, that's 3, 4. And then overall ratings. 1. Oh, hello. 88, 97.
right?
Oh,
Can you put in 6424? And this is a water
okay,
rating
perfect.
of 382. Oh, this is a good one.
Six
I
four
might
two four.
I might want to get this one. So it's listed at 0.139. So it's below your average price of 0.15.
Okay.
Yep.
Um. Oh, this is gonna throw things off because now we're out of 5, but that's okay. All right, what number is 6424 is what we're okay, so that is the okay, that's a 5. Speed. Oh, endurance. What was the number? 6424.
So 24.
So that's 1. This will be 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, speed. It is okay, 5.
62. So it's 5.
Handling is 3. That'll be 3 on handling. So 3, 4, 5. Braking, this actually isn't that bad. So then looking at braking, 6424 is number 2. 2, 3, 4, 5. Vision is number 4. And 5. All right. I have 6424 as the second worst driver in my ratings, according to my system. So let's talk about why did you pick 6424?
So 6424 has got the endurance, actually braking, the handling, and the vision that I wanted. So I actually sacrificed a little bit on the vision that went 75, but I was really looking for braking and handling.
Braking.
And the endurance was high, but it was one of the cheaper ones, so I didn't really care, and so that kind of made up for a little bit of the stats. But for me, I wanted someone with low speed, but high braking, high handling, and high vision when it comes to a water driver.
And what was the price on that?
The price was 0.139, and this is where I wanted to keep it below the 0.15 mark.
Yeah, so this is so 0.139. 7848, sorry. 46 is 0.22.
Mhm.
69 is 0.19. 69 is 0.19. Then what else did we have in there? 7848 is 0.18. And 1668 is did I miss 1668? It's got to be up higher. 166 right there, 0.15.
Mm-hmm.
Too many tabs. All right. So looking at that, so I have the worst driver, according to my ranking system that we talked about earlier, is the second most expensive.
Ooh.
Then I have your driver, which is the cheapest
Mm-hmm.
by far, by a lot.
I'm all about cheap, man. I'm a cheap guy.
It's a great, to me, this is a great value buy, for sure. Then my tied for top 2 have the most expensive. But for me, the value buy would be right here at 7848 for 0.18. Again, I did not plan this, but it has the worst endurance and the worst braking. Tied number 2 for speed And
So this is where I would
drop
challenge
that.
you there.
Yeah,
Why would you need someone who is high in speed and bad in braking in a wet condition?
my counter to that is how much is that condition going to affect things? Like if you're going from a 62 speed to a 85 speed, like is speed associated with recklessness, or is speed associated with I can drive this fast this well?
So let's just say that speed is the ability to get the maximum speed performance from the engine that you've got, or to get the acceleration and so on and so forth. So if I look at it from that manner, in a wet condition or in a wet condition race, I may not need to get the full power potential from the engine, and so I may not be pushing my engine that hard. In fact, I may
True.
actually be looking at how do I take the corner and how do I brake and handle the car. So in that case, the speed buff, if you want to call it, if you want to call stats a buff to the engine performance, or to the the tires as for handling and so on and so forth,
Yeah.
then that has got lesser effect than handling and braking.
I I see that. I don't disagree with that at all. But I see it as like, okay, I'm in that wet condition. I'm struggling. I'm coming out of that corner now. That's my edge. Like when you can have that edge, you can take that. If that makes sense. Like
It
condition
makes
aside,
sense.
yeah. Like I see both. I see both ways working out just as equally.
Yep.
Um, and I guess the big question is to what extent? Because I feel like we
So
could both be right.
yeah, Crush it has got a very good point there. He said that don't think speed and braking are strongly correlated. I agree. I don't think they are very strongly
Oh,
correlated. I think the speed is ability to actually gain that fraction of a second, or in terms of timing, especially when you're able to push the engine a little bit more. And this is what we see in real life races as well. I think the braking and the handling probably has a little bit more in correlation, because it for me it has the avoidance of crashing, and as well and that ability to kind of recover when you go into a corner. So with the more corners and so on and so forth, that may be something that the handling and the braking would actually have a better impact on the performance. Mm.
here's a big curveball that was just thrown my way by Henry. Great point. Thank you so much, Henry, for bringing this up. I'd taken out endurance from this calculation. Adding endurance back in changes everything. Again, we can swap out endurance if we want, but for the sake of doing a comprehensive review, so this changes everything.
If you
So
put in
now,
endurance, 6424 is going to be the best buy, man.
yeah, yeah. So then it becomes the number one rated is the most expensive. The then we have a tie between 0.139 yours and this one. So like that further proves your point of like value on the market. 0.139 versus 0.22. That's almost zero point 0.1. It's like what, 0.9, 0.8 difference between
You can
these
get,
two? That's oh 08, sorry. That's a huge difference.
you can buy another driver for this.
Yes. You could buy a
Yeah.
floor driver. You could have two. You could buy this driver, have a good one,
Yep.
and then a floor driver on top of that. So, and again, this
So
is a 382 competing against a 397.
yep. So Remy was saying that the buff concept. So and why the buff concept and the debuff concept is actually important is because the stats obviously will interact with the car, and I think if we look at drivers actually in essence it's nothing. I mean, it's just a set of numbers. And if you look at the car's performance and ability to gain what's the maximum speed, what's the acceleration, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
the numbers that the drivers have would have either a positive impact or a negative impact on the performance of the car. And of course, obviously, you add in the roll of the dice in that would be the variance. But in that sense, the stats of the driver should either have a buff or debuff effect on the car, which then determine the outcome of the race. The strategy as well. The strategy then comes in play to take that the product of that performance of car as well as the driver's buff debuff to give you a sense of just basically to kind of like spin the number a little bit more in reaction to the condition on the track. So I think the four components coming together will give you the outcome of the race.
I think also that you can kind of skew your performance. Hypothetically, if I'm a fire driver driving in a thunderstorm, not theoretically ideal, but I could
Mhm.
change my strategy and or my if I have the perfect tires for rain conditions, for wet conditions, to kind of
Yep.
offset some of that.
Yes, possibly.
Yeah.
And what's stopping you from having a more aggressive acceleration and a more aggressive driving style in a wet condition when if your drivers can take the has a high handling, a high brake, maybe high handling and low speed. So on a low speed driver with high visibility, high handling, I could actually go more aggressive on a wet condition as compared to maybe someone else who needs to go more conservative on that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if I'm pushing and he's not pushing and I actually have better handling, I can compensate for the lack of speed with better handling.
I totally get that. Totally get that for sure.
Damn, if
Um,
only we could visit the animals.
if only what?
If only we can do this with the animals, right?
Right? Oh, the animals. The
Yeah.
animals. Um, so yeah, no, I think this is a beautiful example. This is very well done. Nice driver you picked out. 0.139, a 382 in a way, going toe to toe with a 397. Much better value, insanely better value for the price.
Yeah.
Even from a stat comparison, not too far off.
Hmm?
Um, there is value out there. So don't. I guess my message is don't get caught up on the number. Don't get caught up on 395. Don't get caught up on 400. If you can, that's great. But a lot of us are working with budgets. A lot of us don't have the largest bankroll in the world. Can't afford just buying the best of the best from the ceiling. So we got to find value. And I think this is a really cool, really interesting way to find value within the ecosystem.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we need to kind of like cut this segment out to make it a highlight. I think it's good for the new drivers, sorry, the new players coming on.
Yeah,
Um, think about your budget and how you want to set up your team according to what budget you've got. And I think it's also good to kind of keep in mind that you don't have to race every race to win. You kind of want to pick your races. So if your team is set up for example, like I like saying wet weather a lot. If your team is set up for wet weather, you may have that advantage in wet weather. Or if your team is set up for dry weather or whatever that is, set up your team in a way that has a specialty and you probably would dominate in that category.
absolutely. Don't get discouraged if you can't afford four or more drivers. All you need is one.
Yeah.
And then just find your niche, find your spot. Um, just watch
And,
out if. Oh, go ahead.
and I kind of want to say that don't devalue the earth driver that much. So something that is actually so if you think about fire, water, and wind, they may have a specialty and a certain race condition. But the good thing about being common is that you don't take the negative impact from the other elements. For example, you take a fire driver, you go into a wet race. I mean, by logic, I think that may give you a huge debuff. But so if you have a driver like an earth driver that basically takes less debuff from the weather conditions, that actually could be a good strategy. So I have a strong stat earth driver going into a race that actually may be the winning solution to, or you may actually have the edge against the fire and the wind drivers.
I feel like the human, no, sorry, the Earth driver is the equivalent of like the human in RPG games. of it's like, oh, they don't have these crazy specialties, but they're very well rounded. Like it's not going to be the elf that's going to be amazing at, casting spells and using their bow, but like the human can kind of do anything that they want.
Yeah.
The generalist, which
Yep.
isn't a
Yeah.
bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. Yeah.
One word of warning I will say is if you do purchase a water driver, just watch out for Eric, because I got a feeling he's going to be the one of the best water drivers in the game for sure, with all the time spent talking about all these wet conditions.
I try. I'm a San Jose Sharks.
There you
So
go, the shark, Eric, wet driver Wong. We're gonna come up with some fun nicknames for sure.
yeah.
All right. Anything else before we kind of close out for the night? Any other last questions in a chat? About at the hour and a half mark. Be a good time to kind of wrap things up. All right. I'm not seeing anything come through. Eric, thank you so much for coming on. This was awesome. Appreciate your feedback. Appreciate your insight. Really, really gets me excited. Gets me going.
Thank you. So before we go, I just want to give a shout out to all the other content creators. I think so. We've seen MJ creating a bit more content for Riot Racing, Riot Racers, and I think with us coming on, and I think we will see a lot more. We'll see a lot more content being created in this space. I think we have got Pony Plug and Naruto. I think now rebrand as Metaverse Gaming. So we see a bit more content being created in this space. So I want to kind of give them a shout out as well. And as they are creating content for Riot Racers, I do hope that you guys will also pop over to their stream and support them, and give them some love as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. We all support each other pretty well in the other stream, in the animal game. So
Oh
I
yeah,
hope that continues. Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, they're all great streamers, all great content, and it's all kind of different content too. It's not all the same.
It's
Um,
not.
we all have our different angles and our different niches that we are a part of. So speaking of that, actually, I wanted to check to see if there's anyone streaming right now. Looks like Pony Plug might be live. Let's go ahead and give them a rate. If you're not in Zed, definitely check them out. Pony Plug is a lot of fun. Let me go ahead, see if I can do this from my phone.
Are you gonna rate them?
Yes. Let's show them some Riot love in chat when we get over there. Thank you so much, FPS Leo. Appreciate that. All I got was the channel was intended for mature audiences. I'm gonna have to plug in, might get some feedback here in a minute. Let's see if this kicks over. One sec. And go ahead and drop me a follow on Twitter, xmj_gaming, xmj gaming on Discord 3946. And sorry for the feedback. Oh, here we go. 9 seconds. All right, let's show some love